guys, this is Pedram Raufi and you're watching the markets review. During this program we're going to check the situation on the markets, we're going to check the news background, we're going to check the different type of assets which we have on the MT4, MT5 of Gerchik Co broker. We're going to check the technical analysis, we're going to go through the technical analysis and check the price action of different type of Forex pairs, cryptocurrency assets, and of course we're going to start after this program by checking the news background and the stock market indexes, the United States stock market indexes prices as well. We're going to go through all of the specters of the market, we're going to check this situation and see what kind of chances we have due to the technical picture of the charts and due to the news background. As you know, the news background doesn't actually change. From previous time when we talked with you about the situation around Ukraine, which is getting harsher and harsher, which is getting cruel and really harder. War is continuing, and the sanctions against Russian companies, against Russian oil, Russian gas is going to get approved in future as well. So the situation with stock market, as we told you from previous time, was downward and was bearish, and it had to continue this trend. And as we see now on the chart of S&P 500, we are going to actually check S&P, Dow Jones and Nasdaq high tech index as well. Both of them actually retested the local minimums. They have continued the downward trend, as we said from previous program. If you remember the previous program, previous meeting of and market review, you will find out that actually we told you about the continuation of this downward movement and the retest and the possibility of the retest of local minimums of the markets. So nowadays, what is going on? Everything is continuing in that trend which it was before. I mean, war is getting harsher. Ukrainian forces are defending Ukraine, and they are taking back the cities which have been occupied by Russian forces. And United States sanctions, European sanctions against Russian commerce industry is continuing as well. So we all know that this situation is going to get harsher, and there is some predictions about oil prices and gas prices as well, about which we are going to talk today during today's program. So don't forget to watch till the end. At the end of the program, we're going to actually find out what we have to do with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and what kind of predictions we gave you, and how truth it became. Actually, we're going to check this fact as well. And let's see what is going on with the stock market of the United States. We're going to start from the most important indexes of the United States: S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Index, and of course the Nasdaq High Tech main index of the United States. S&P 500, if you remember from previous time, we told you that there is a prediction that this correctional upward movement is really weak, is really with a low amplitude, and it would end by the next downward impulse. That's what happened actually. And the next movement which are waiting for is that we've already retested the local of the market, local minimum of the market. We're just waiting for some consolidational movement, for some next speculations, maybe bearish speculations, which could, for example, take us to $4,000, take us to 4,100. But then we're going to get into the upward movement, into the reversal trend. We're going to get into this reversal. We're going to get into this main strengthening phase of stock market, but a little bit later. That's actually a moment that we were waiting for, the retest of local minimums. So that's the situation that we got, and exactly as S&P 500, Dow Jones prices as well continued the downward movement, and they just retested the local minimum. They have little potential to continue this downward movement. They have a little potential to just maybe a little bit, make this downward movement a little bit wider. But after the main speculations which are going to go on here, we are just going to have the next reversal. So now, for next sessions, for tomorrow, for after tomorrow, we're just waiting for prices of stock market index of United States to retest the local minimums. For example, for Dow Jones Industrial Index, we're just waiting for 33,000 and 32,500 to get retested, and then prices mostly are going to strengthen above these levels and reverse and continue to rise inside the main upward phase, which is the main trend of the midterm and long-term perspective of the price action of stock market indexes. And the Nasdaq high-tech main index of United States, as we see as well, from previous time we were located around this correctional corridor which we have here, and we told you that because we are not getting above this mirror level of 14,400, because of that, 14,400, because of the main factor that we cannot get above, we cannot get strengthened above this mirror level, mostly we are going to fall further. So that's what happened. We fell further. And we've got into the moment which we were waiting for, the retest of local minimum. So guys, now you have to get ready to get into long positions. You have to get ready to get into long positions, mostly for that stock, for that bunch of stock which are located in the main rising sectors for now. Energy sector, maybe financial sector, even high-tech sector actually, and utility which is actually rising as well. And all of the sectors actually are going to rise further in next months till we get whole European Union get caught from Russian gas and oil supply. So before that, we're going to have a really high demand on energy. We're going to have this energy crisis factor, and most of companies of energy sector, they're going to continue the rise. So without any doubt, we can say that after the retest of local minimums of the stock market, main indexes are going to get into an upward rally. We are going to get into the main phase. So we're just waiting for the last speculative movements of bears, of sellers here. So we could get strengthened above local minimums and then continue the upward movement. So let's start the analysis of the Forex pairs. United States dollar. First of all, we're going to check the United States dollar prices. European currency, Euro, Pound, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar as well. Next, we're going to go through the gold prices and commodity prices, price action. We're going to check the prices. We're going to check the situation which we have there, and we're going to find out some solutions for traders, midterm and for long-term trading. So let's see what kind of releases, economic releases for this week we're going to have during this week and the first days of next week. We're going to have so we know that today is the second day of the week, and the economic calendar have a really high impact on different type of currencies. Mostly we are looking for dollar, we are looking for euro, we are looking for pound, and a bunch of main Forex, actives and assets. And let's start from tomorrow. As you know, our videos are going to get uploaded within a day, so tomorrow could be today for you. So tomorrow is going to be Tuesday. I'm sorry, going to be Wednesday actually. Yeah, going to be Wednesday, and the main releases, maybe we can say that from European Union, European Central Bank President Lagarde, Christine Lagarde is going to speak. This speech could actually make euro to go higher in a moment. It could help European currency to maybe make some upward momentums during the speech, because Lagarde at previous sessions, at previous meetings, actually told that inflation is really high and it's going to picking, and it's going to actually break local maximums, and we have to tighten the monetary policy. Because of that, we can say that maybe there would be some verbal interventions after which prices could, after which the euro prices could get a little bit pumped, but in the moment. They could get pumped at the moment, and next they would continue the main downward move. So during the Lagarde speeches, we have some chances for euro to maybe get pumped. Don't forget about it. At 2 o'clock tomorrow by GMT time, Greenwich time, pending home sales. Unfortunately, pending home sales, and mostly this sector of housing of the United States is under a really harsh pressure of the monetary policy tightening of Federal Reserve System, because there would be less liquidity. They're cutting the balance sheet. Next, within some months, they're going to get through the interest rate hiking, the Federal Reserve System. And because of this factor, we cannot say that housing sector is going to rise. Housing sector is actually falling, and it would continue to fall. And there is some suspicion that the release would be more positive, so we could get less deficit than before, but this won't really happen. So we have to pay attention as well. If something like that doesn't happen, if the actual releases won't be that good as the prognosis, the impact could be not really good on the dollar prices. So dollar prices have been jumped really aggressively. And we actually told you in previous time when we talked to you, we told you that dollar now is really high valued, and it's really rallying and hiking, and it would continue this movement. And that's actually what happened. We're gonna actually check the charts of dollar prices as well. So stock with us, don't forget. Crude oil inventories of United States, which could have an impact on oil prices. And here we see that supplies are going to get higher. That's actually a bad signal for oil. And as we know, oil has some potential to speculatively fall to $88 or maybe $90. Maybe 90, 88, 85. This could really happen. But after that, we're going to get into the upward impulse. We're going to get into the upward main bullish trend of oil, because Russian oil supply is going to get under the sanctions as like as gas, and because of that, oil don't have to fall that much. In some way, China could came into markets and just close own cities because of lockdowns, because of COVID infection spreading, and say that, oh, I don't need that much of oil, so sorry guys, prices are going to get dumped. And before China do something like that, we can actually be really sure that prices of oil, prices of gas are going to continue to rise. But as we told you from previous time, oil and gas, from previous time, it was previous Friday or previous Thursday, we told you that oil and gas prices have a potential to fall correctively. And now we're going to check the prices as well on the charts. Actually, they fell correctively to local minimums. Crude oil inventories, they're going to be a little bit negative tomorrow, so maybe we're going to have some speculative bearish impulses during tomorrow's European and the first of American session, which could help actually dollar prices to maybe rise a little bit. And let's see what we're going to have at Thursday. Japanese Central Bank, Japanese National Bank, about an interest rate hiking. They are not going to hike interest rate. They are not going to tighten monetary policy. That's a fact. They could actually verbally just intervene and just say that we are going to hike interest rate or something like that, or maybe tighten monetary policy, but they are not going to do that, as well as a European Central Bank. Next, we're going to have United States releases GDP, which is a really important release. The domestic production, which is going to fall really sharply. I don't think that this would be this would be the actual release. I think that this data is really too much negative, and this could really be related to maybe sanctions, most of all. But if we stick with that idea that American stock market and exports of, for example, military companies, energy companies are rising now, we cannot say that gross domestic products are going to fall that much. I don't think that they're going to fall that much, but actually they could. But I don't really think that this kind of release is going to be actual release. I don't think so. Initial jobless claims, which are going to be positive. So as we see here, trend of job market is kind of really weak, but it's rising. But it's really weak. So you're just waiting for a moment that job market the situation job market of the United States get worse. So now it hasn't happened, it doesn't happen, but in the future it have to happen. Something like that had to happen. Mostly when the Federal Reserve System start to hike the interest rate and tighten the monetary policy. Mostly at that moment, the job market could actually start to fall a little bit. But for now, everything with job market is okay. So at Friday of this weekend, we're going to have German gross domestic products for first quarter, and it's actually really positive, which is actually making me really suspicious, because this trend is not going to continue. As we see, the United States gross domestic products are not falling that much, and German gross domestic products in future, they have to really fall too much because of sanctions against Russia. And I think because of that, maybe this could be one of the reasons. But if as well Germany is going to, for example, start to make deals not only with Russia, this would maybe help these countries. So CPI from Europe, which is rising a little bit, which is good for European currency. GDP, gross domestic products of Canada, which is rising as well, and this would be really good for Canadian currency. But mostly, if oil prices start to fall again, or fall speculatively, Canadian dollar as well would fall against United States dollar. And any kind of positive economic releases couldn't help. They won't help, because oil price is the most oil is the main asset which could impact the movement of which could have a good impact on, or at least trade impact on Canadian dollar and the other oil or petrol currencies, like ruble oil and etc. So let's go through the Forex pairs. As we saw for this week, mostly European releases are not that bad. From Britain, we don't have anything, so British currency could really continue the consolidational movement. European currency could kind of make some upward impulses. United States dollar could make some downward impulses, because there is such chance for United States currency, for dollar to actually fall a little bit. So they have some chance for United States dollars to actually continue, or maybe make some downward movements during this week, and for European currencies to maybe make some upward impulses. So let's go and try to find out what is going on with dollar price indexes, dollar index prices, which are located in a really sharp upward movement. As we told you from previous time, we were located around 100, and we told you that despite all of this gap, all of this formation of this kind of gaps, we're going to continue. The dollar prices are going to continue this rally. Dollar prices are going to continue this upward movement. So as you remember from previous time, despite all of these factors of, for example, this gap which was opened, this gap which was formed, we told you that prices mostly they're going to continue to rise. So that's what we had from previous time. And dollar price actually could continue this upward movement. They could continue this upward movement to 103, maybe 103.50, or maybe even 104, but I don't think so. I think that maybe 103, 103.50 is the last levels that dollar could actually retest, and then it's going to get into some consolidational phase, or maybe just a correctional phase, which means that it's not going to fall that much, but it could really continue to move inside some corridors or inside some consolidational patterns. So next comes the European currency, euro to United States dollar. And as we see here as well, this downward impulse is the impact of oil, dollar prices rising and heavily sharp upward movement. It would end in some actually dimensions, this kind of trend, but mostly it could continue to 1.06 or maybe 1.05, 0.55. So there is a bunch of ideas about dollar that it could really continue their own upward movement, which could actually make European currency to actually fall to 1.060 or 0.55, and after that maybe the prices are going to get into consolidation, and then they're going to start to rise again, to return to upward phase. But for now, we can say that we have some suspicion that dollar prices could continue their rally. So what is going on with GBP, or pound to United States dollar prices, which as well falling really sharply, and because of these sharp trends, we cannot say that in the near future they're going to fall more sharper. Let's see on daily charts, we actually are retesting a really important local historical minimum of 1.26, and prices could actually continue to fall a little bit. They could continue this movement. They could continue, for example, they could continue downward to retest 1.25, even to 1.24, but they have to return, they have to reverse in the next sessions. They have to start to consolidate at first and then return to the next upward phase. So we are waiting, we're just sitting here and just waiting for prices to reverse. That's actually a really great moment for many traders, when you are located in such moments, when you are waiting for trend reversal. So you're getting all of the potential of the price movement before it starts. So that would be a really good chance for most of long position starters. So let's go further and see what is going on with the United States dollar, Australian dollar to United States dollar, which we call it Aussie or Australian. 4.71. It could get retested again. So there's a potential of downward movement. It would be really impulsive, but after that we're going to continue. We're going to return into a main upward phase. So we're just waiting for the last speculative movements of bears. We're just waiting for the last speculative downward impulses, and after that prices mostly are going to return to the main phase and start to rise. We have a prediction, we have some chances that prices could actually retest 0.71, and they could actually retest 0.70, which is a psychological level, but I don't think that they're going to go further or fall further. So there's only a chance for prices to retest 0.71, maybe 0.7050, but not further. So there's a chance of prices to make some speculative downward impulse, but mostly after that prices are going to return to consolidational movement and reverse again. 0.70 is a really important psychological level, after the retest of which mostly we're going to reverse, or at least just stop to fall further. Don't forget about it. Next comes New Zealand dollar to United States dollar, which we are going to check as well. So New Zealand dollar to United States dollar. The local minimums, there's a potential of speculation to 0.6550, 0.65. Just let's say that maybe this range is a really great range to use it for getting again into the long positions. So for most of bulls, the retest of 0.6550, 0.65 is a really great moment to get into market again for most of bulls which are going to trade long-term or mid-term. So let's see how stock markets start to rise again and how oil prices start to rise again. So all of these factors would make United States dollar to kind of start to get into consolidational and next downward phase. If something like that could be possible, there's too many signals, too many technical signals about this factor which could really happen. I mean, the start of the stock market main indexes upward movement and oil prices upward movement, which could start actually after some downward speculations in the near future, and dollars reversal, which could tell us too much of the future of the price action of different type of forex pairs. So you have to just get ready for this kind of reversal. It's actually going to happen next in the near future, I think. Let's go further and see what is going on with commodity prices. As you know, we have the commodity prices, which are gold prices, silver prices, palladium, and platinum. We're going to check all of them. And as you see for now, gold prices are located in really high pressure. They're under really high pressure. And the main reason is that most of central banks nowadays are thinking about inflation, high inflation. So mostly they are not going to approve further plans of the different assets buyings, for example, or they're not going to buy that big amount of gold that they have bought from the start of the trade war between United States and China and during the COVID infection spreading. So they're actually not going to do this. Nowadays, most worries are about war, most worries about oil market and gas market. There's no worries about gold market, and there's actually more worries about the main reserve currencies like euro, pound, dollar, to just make them not fall that much. And the only thing that could help them is to just tighten the monetary policy for British Bank, for European Central Bank, for Federal Reserve System, to just tighten the monetary policy. So they're not actually going to get into the to buy a high amount of gold, and there's no reason for gold to start to rise actually. So there is another factor here, the China factor. And China as well is not going to buy the high amount of gold in the near future, because China's economy nowadays is actually rising, is actually kind of rising without any kind of dependence on the situation around it. And China is not going, China has already isolated the economy and is kind of rising it. And that's not the North Korean or Russian economy rising, which is actually not it's not really realistic. It's really false, which actually, China's economy is actually continuing to rise, and it would continue to rise, and it's rising by the help of the own investments of inside investors, not outside investors. And that's not the situation which we have nowadays with Northern Korea or Russian economy, which is really unpleasant, and it's not going to rise anyway in the future. They just isolated the economy and they just forget about it. And there is no reasons for the economy in the way that we know, for example, for Russia to rise further. And there won't be anything in near future in Russia, as like as in North Korea. So China is something that really far from all of them. China is more like America. China is more like Japan, like more northern Korea. So China is actually a really, really important country, economically important country, which is not going to, which is in the near future is not really going to approve the gold buying plan, the plans of central bank, to buy assets or gold in the near future, because it doesn't really need that. So as we see, gold prices doesn't really have any kind of reason to rise further. And there is some suspicion from previous time we told you that there is a suspicion of retest of 1900, 1880, which could happen. And now we have the retest of 1900. Maybe in the near future prices are going to start to rise further. It would be a correctional rise. For example, it would be a corrective rise to 1950 to 1960, maybe not further. And then next movement is going to the continuance of downward movement. So for now, we have some chances of correctional upward impulse or movement, but I don't think that it's going to be a long-term movement. It's not going to continue in the long term or in the mid-term. So just be ready that gold prices could really continue to fall, actually, and it could really fall further. What is going on with silver prices? Let's see what is going on with the silver prices. So silver prices, as it was shown us, that there is some amplitude decreasing after the breakthrough of local minimum, and prices are not going to rise that much. Here we could get some signals of volatility, for example widening, which could be a really good signal of reversal, but you need to know that the maximum of the price rally is 24.50 is 25, and then the prices are going to continue to fall. So I don't think even that they are going to retest 24.50, but they could get to 24.50, they could rise to 24.50, 25, but then they're going to actually continue to fall, and maybe even further than local minimums around which they are now located. So don't forget that they could really continue to fall further. And let's see what's going on with platinum futures. Actually, it was so interesting to check the uranium prices as well, and the steel prices, maybe coal prices. It was really interesting because the uranium prices started to rise from the moment when United States Army left Afghanistan, and steel and coal prices started to rise, as palladium prices, when sanctions on Russia get really harsh. They could actually get harsher in the future as well. So platinum, $900. It's a really important level. It's a really psychologically important level, after the test of which we could have a reversal. But we would stay, we would actually take in mind that there would some suspicion, there's some probability of prices speculative downward impulse, after which prices are going to actually get into the main consolidational phase, then start to continue upward movement. But before that, mostly there's still some suspicion about the probability of prices downward impulse. So we can say about 850 or 880, and after the prices are going to rise further. But for now, if prices start to impulsively rise, that would be a really bad signal, which could mean that prices are going to just continue to consolidate, and then they're going to just retest the local minimum of 800 or 850. So if the prices of platinum in the near future doesn't retest this local minimums, and they start some impulsive upward movement, this would really mean that prices in the future are going to just consolidate. They're not going to rise that much. So just stick with these ideas, and don't forget to analyze the situation on the markets more rapidly. And platinum prices, which are under the sanctions, showing the better trend, which is more consolidational. And now as we see the retest of $2,000, there is suspicion of continuation of this upward movement, which could be really moderate trend, which could actually happen in a really moderate trend, but it could really actually continue. 2,200, 2,400 prices could really continue to rise further. It was really interesting to check the prices of uranium if we have them here. I don't really know. Let's see the uranium ETF, for example. There was a really bad bubble in uranium prices. That's actually uranium ETF, but prices are really high. So ETF is the main asset by which actually we trade. As you see, uranium ETF prices as well, they are not falling. They're just impulse. They're just correctionally. They're just retesting local minimums. And now they're retesting a really important psychology. That's not psychological. That's a mirror level of $24. So here we have really good chances for uranium to get into the upward phase as well. Don't forget about this factor. We have the situation around which we are just waiting for the next reversal and the continuation of upward movement. So stick with the idea of $24. If you're above $24, you're going to continue to rise. If you're under $24, mostly we're going to make some downward, maybe consolidational channels. We're going to make them, and then we're going to rise. So for uranium, I don't think that prices are going to fall that much. So what is going on with the steel prices? I don't know. Can I find steel prices? Unfortunately, I cannot find steel prices. But let's say maybe coal. Let's say maybe coal. I think that coal India, coal Arch. So next comes the commodity prices we actually saw, and let's see what's going on with crude oil prices, with WTI. And then we're going to check the natural gas prices as well, and we're going to see what is going on with the energy sector, which have to start to rise anyway. But let's say that local minimums of 95, 90, maybe they're going to get retested by oil prices, because we had such a potential, and for now, situation is not that good for oil to maybe start to rise. So we are telling you that there is some potential of the impulsive and speculative retest of $90 or $95, $85. So after the retest of these levels, we are going to start to rise again. And for natural gas prices, let's say there is such a situation as with oil, but this would be really bit different because gas prices really relate to the situation in the war in Ukraine. Because as you know, there is some suspicion that most of European countries are going to ban Russian supply of gas, and the sanctions future are going to get harsher and harsher as well. So don't forget to maybe check previous market review of which we actually done, and this all was about the correctional downward movement which could happen, which actually happened, and I actually told you that this kind of correctional downward movement could happen from previous time. If you remember, we told you that the natural gas prices are going to retest 7. I think I told you that 750 maximum, but they have already retested $8 even. And next they're going to reverse and retest 6 or 650. So we have already retested the 650, and the prices are going to start to rise. So the next movement is mostly going to be upward, and let's see what is going next. What we have next, we have different type of forex pairs which are related to oil. For example, Canadian dollar, about which I actually told you. This impulsive upward movement shows us that oil prices are going to rise further, because dollar prices to Canadian dollar prices is a really important indicator and a really straight indicator that shows you how oil prices and United States dollar prices are dealing with each other. As you know, oil prices and United States dollar prices has opposite correlation, and because of that, because of this impulse, because of the technical picture which we have, we can say that prices are going to retest the local resistance, then they're going to reverse from this local resistance and continue to fall. So they could continue to fall to 1.25, 1.2550, or maybe 1.24. But that's the situation which we are going to have after the retest of 1.28 or maybe 1.29. So for first, we're going to wait for prices to retest 1.2850, 1.29, and then we're going to check how prices are going to retest those levels, and then mostly they have to reverse, because technically we have this signal, impulsive upward movement, which have ended by the retest of local maximums with the local resistance. And that's a really important signal, which is actually now showing us that prices further are going to fall. So that's what we are going to have with Canada and United States dollar to Japanese yen, which is United dollar to Japanese, which is actually commodity asset, as like as gold, as like as silver, and as you see here, as we told you from previous time, the correctional movement of United States dollar to Japanese yen is not going to be that deep, and that's what we have already got. That's not a really deep correction. We told you that correction of United States dollar to Japanese yen is going to be really minimum. It could be really minimal because of Japanese yen weakness, which is going to actually exist in the markets. So 128, 126, they could really get retested, but mostly we are going to have the next reversal and the rise of the prices here. Don't forget that we can get into some consolidational movement around 128, 126. So 128, 126 is a range inside of which you could get stuck for some time, and then you're going to rise exactly as the prices are telling us that they're going to actually retest the mirror level, and then they're going to reverse. United States dollar to CHF, to franc, and as we see here, 0.95, 0.9450 are the levels which could get retested in the near future. So prices are now really sharply rising, and there is some signals of downward impulse, of downward reversal, which we see from the divergence between maximums and the RSI line. And after this kind of signals, mostly we're going to have the reversal. So because of that, we can say that maybe 0.9650, 0.97 maximum are the levels after the retest of which we're going to face the reversal, which could continue and which could actually make prices to fall further to 0.9450, 0.94 even. So don't forget about this kind of prognosis as well. So what's coming next? That's Bitcoin prices, about which we're waiting that long, and Bitcoin prices and Ethereum prices. If you remember from previous time, we were around here, and we told you that prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum now they're correctively rising. They could actually rise impulsively, but you don't have to buy them. We told you that prices price of Bitcoin could actually retest 45,000 or even 47,000. They could. We said that mainly prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum are located in a downward channel, but impulsively, speculatively, they could rise to 45,000 or 47,000. We told you, but this actually didn't happen. And it was actually the main idea of Bitcoin and Ethereum for nowadays, that we don't have to buy them. But for today, there is some signals that are telling us that maybe we can buy them, because there is some false breakthrough of local minimum. And there is some signal of convergence here, which could mean that price in near future could make some bullish impulses, which are speculative. We don't have to believe that this kind of movements are going to continue for several days, but they could actually happen. So here we have a signal which showing us that there is a probability of prices to make this kind of movements. And as well, for Ethereum, we have to see this kind of situation, because Ethereum as well is showing us that impulsively is retesting the local minimum, which is a kind of a mirror level, a 2,800, 2,000, maybe 700. They could get retested, and then prices are going to maybe make some upward impulses, not even movement, not even moderate upward movement. This could be an impulse to 3,000, then the continuation of downward movement. So don't forget that there is maybe some chances for Bitcoin and Ethereum to make some upward impulses, but don't have to believe them. We have to know that Bitcoin and Ethereum prices are going to fall further. Thank you guys for watching this video. I wish that you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe on the channel and ring the bell so you would know what kind of programs in future we're going to have. Don't forget to check our main website, official website of Gerchik Co. And don't forget to subscribe and use different type of instruments which we have on our site, like terminal, like different lessons, different courses of different analysts and the president of company, which is really great courses for professional traders and of course for beginners as well. Don't forget to check all this information on the main official site of gerchikco.com. Thank you for watching this video again, and don't forget to care about yourself. Till next time, have good tradings. Bye bye.